Welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. I am Ed Dick alongside Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, and Sean Duffy. We are live on our YouTube page at Sports on Tap. Make sure you check out our website, sportsontappodcast.com, and also our Twitter page at SOT Podcast. This is the first installment of our high school football preview shows. We do cover the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Suburban League, and the Great Lakes Conference. Today, we will be focusing on the Southwestern Conference, and we have three very special guests that are going to join the show today to talk about their programs. We have Berea Midpark head coach John Hunek, definite friend of show status there. We also have Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik joining us from Avon Lake. He is a fellow Mount Union Purple Raider like myself, so I like him a lot. And then we also have Avon head coach Mike Elder, he of the five-time defending Region 6 champion, the Avon Eagles. They own that region. And we'll talk to him a little bit about that and along with his program. Guys, high school football is almost here. I couldn't tell you how excited I am to go to start this up and get going here.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a better time than to get started with high school football in Northeast Ohio, and the Southwestern Conference is an important part of that, along with the other conferences. And we're going to get to those conferences, obviously, as the weeks go on, and have some great guests lined up tonight that we're excited about. And Eddie did a great job, talking a little bit about them. And I know Coach Hunek will be here shortly, but it's going to be exciting this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We're back. Last year was a big year for us in terms of, internal growth as a show. With our coverage, and we developed a lot of good relationships with some coaches and players and fan bases. So we're very much looking forward to that, to growing that. And I've just, once we decided, a start date for us, I just can't wait. Couldn't wait to get started.
And we will do a preview show of every conference leading up to the first week, which is the week of April, which is August 19th is the first week of high school football. As we all remember, last year, the state playoffs expanded by around 16 teams per region make the playoffs, which means it takes 6 games to win the state championship. So they had to bump the season up a little bit, and that's just a little bit more football for us to talk about, which is not a problem for anyone on this podcast. So with respect to the Southwestern Conference, it was tied. The co-winners were the Avon Eagles and the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. They both had a conference record of 6-1. In third place, the Berea Midpark Titans. They were 5-2. The Avon Lake Shoremen came in fourth place. They were 4-3, followed by the Elyria Pioneers, 3-4 in their first season as a Southwest Conference team. The Midview Middies were also 3-4, led by head coach Luke Beal. The North Ridgeville Rangers were 1-6. They finished 7th place, and the Amherst Seal Comets were not able to get a win last year, but with Kenny Fritz as the coach, I have no doubt that they'll be able to get a couple wins under their belt. He is a former Brunswick grad as well, and I'm probably completely biased when I say that because I'm a Brunswick grad. Why not? Along with Rob and Josh, for those of you who are just tuning into our show for the first time.
Yeah,
so
can't tell.
No. Sean has done a great job. He's gonna be kind of our PowerPoint man for the season. This is the graphic of all the teams in the Southwestern Conference. The conference has gone through a little bit of shifting, just like all the conferences have. But right now, it seems pretty set for the time being. Elyria is the newest team in this conference, and they according to depending on who you're looking at, they got some pretty high expectations for what they're looking to do this year. And it looks like we are joined by Berea Midpark head coach John Hunek. Complete friend of show, friend of me outside of the football realm. And Coach Hunek, thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on with you guys. Kidding me? Best part of my day. Well, maybe the second best part of my day. When I just came from might have been the best part of my day, Jeff.
Yeah, we heard about it. Well,
You're,
congratulations.
I'm just kidding.
No, your friend of show status is in a little bit of seesaw right now. So.
Jeopardy. It's a Jeopardy right now.
Oh man.
Well, let's keep everyone. My 9-10 softball. My two daughters. I coached their softball team. It was the championship game tonight. We played against John's daughter. Their team. John's daughter made some great defensive plays at shortstop. And their whole team did really well. They came away with 11-3 victory. So
oh wow,
we get to play. We play again tomorrow for winner take all. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was. Josh's team's really, really good. He does a great job with the girls. There's no doubt about that. So I think we got a little lucky tonight. So I'm hoping for a little bit more luck tomorrow, but we'll see how it goes.
It doesn't get any better than a winner-take-all in the winner-take-all game in really any sort of sport, any age group. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Winner-take-all is probably the most exciting thing you possibly have happen there in sports. Coach Hunek, we'll go through last year's accomplishments real quick. 5-2 in the Southwestern Conference. You guys finished 6-5 overall. The number 9 seed in Division I, Region 1, defeated our beloved Brunswick Blue Devils in the first round of the playoffs. For your first playoff win as a head coach, and congratulations on that as well.
Thanks.
And a loss to eventual state champ St. Ed's, 56-14. There's absolutely no shame in that, as you all know from being on the St. Ed's side as well. They racked up 29 points a game, gave up about 27, and they still have this. Yes, Eddie. This is my logo. You want to say hi to John?
Is this a popper?
Yeah, it's a popper.
Hi.
This is John. It's a popper, yes, and along with this thing too. I don't know, whatever this is. Yeah, it's live. This is live podcast. You never know what you're gonna get.
Look like a truck. Look like a truck to me, Ed.
It is.
I mean,
one of those ones that you roll back and it should go forward.
yeah, there you go.
Pretty
It's a
solid
motor
there.
vehicle. I mean, you have a little trouble identifying that?
It's called See My Gears Work. So yeah. Anyways, this is devolving.
Young mechanics in the Dick household.
Yeah.
So and looking at the schedule from last year to this year, it's the same exact schedule. So you get to play the same teams again. Obviously, conference schedule, but your non-conference remains the same as well. So, Coach Hunek, let's talk a little bit about the program. What you guys have been doing in the off season, and what you're looking forward to this year.
Well, we've had an awesome off season. We've got a great group of kids. Really excited about that. A lot of talent. A lot of kids returned from last year. I think we returned 12 starters. So really excited about that, especially the starters that return up front for us on the offensive defensive line. That's what we think the strength of our team is going to be. And it's exciting to have a team where we feel that's going to be the strength. I mean, usually we kind of lean on our skill players, so it's going to be exciting to have that strength up front. Off season's been really great. Like I said, it's just a great group of kids, great senior class. When you win a few games, you get to the positive going. Life's a little bit easier, I'm finding, to get kids motivated to be at workouts and to be at practice. Things get a little bit easier. So not saying that we're anywhere where we need to be, but winning our first playoff game and seeing some of the positive fruits of our labor and the stuff we told the kids we could accomplish, getting a little bit of that done was great. Being in the mix there at the end of the year to win the Southwest Conference. I mean, we were in it. If we would have beaten Olmsted Falls week 10, we would have had a share of the conference. Didn't, because Olmsted Falls is a great team coached by, great Coach DeLuca and his staff. But, hoping for the same thing, right? I mean, we're hoping to compete for the conference, hoping to get off to a little better start. We were 0-2 last year to start the year, and the fact that our kids responded that well after that says a lot about them. And a lot of those kids, again, that were critical parts of that come back. And I thought our senior class last year did a great job really kind of paving the road and showing them how to do things at a high level so that they can replicate that this year, hopefully.
Coach, one of the I was just going to ask you. We're the second year into where they've kind of expanded these amount of teams that get into the playoffs, and it's really kind of shot the schedule a little bit from what most kids are used to. Most kids and coaches. I've talked to a couple of coaches outside of where they kind of say, "Man, we're coming into the end of July, which is usually was traditionally more of a dead period, and then OSHA came out and said you can kind of tack some things on, some extra time." How has your coaching staff and that adjusted now that you're in the second year of this accelerated schedule from what you're used to? Does it change anything for you?
Well, obviously, it changed because last year you had unlimited days to do helmet stuff, and this year they went back to limiting days, but still kept the schedule short. To be real with you, I don't know. It is what it is. You got to make the most of it. What it is, it's hard to complain about the fact that we get to coach a game and love what you do. I mean, it's hard to complain about what you're doing on a daily basis, but for me, to be honest with you, it's kind of nice to be. I don't like the fact that we have that short start because, I mean, at least for our school district's fact, we're not in school yet when we play week 1, and it kind of sucks to not be in school and play your first week game. I just don't, the whole, ambiance of a game and wanting to be in school that first week. I've always seen it has been a fun part of week 1 of coming, back to school. But, we've always given I've always given since I've been here, our coaching staff has always given our kids the last week of July off because we push them hard during the summer. And we stuck with that because, you send that out in January before the OHSA makes any decisions. Everybody makes their vacation for that week. And next thing you know, you get to come back in 2 weeks you play. And, 4 days you get to scrimmage and stuff. But, I'm not opposed to it. I'm one of those guys that I think there's nothing more I hate than pregame. So I think that carries over just, I guess, to everything in life. And I'm cool. If we got to play August 1st, I'm okay. Let's go play. Let's get it going. I mean, like I said, having returning groups nice. Having kids that know our offense and defense is nice, and we've been doing similar things, if not the same thing, for 6 years now. So our kids know what they're doing, and we kind of know where kids are slotted at, and I'm excited to see them play. So the sooner the better. If we could play today, I'd be happy.
Hey, Coach, let's talk about, one key player that's not coming back is, your quarterback, Luke Devins. He was obviously your team leader. I remember last year, in that playoff game, he wasn't 100%, but he still went out there and still played hard and got you guys, helped lead you to a victory. So, talk about, some of the players that you're looking forward to stepping up and taking on that leadership role, and especially at the quarterback position, which we all know is one of the top positions in sports, most important.
Sure, and with what we do offensive, with how much we throw the football, a quarterback has so much to do for us. We have a few kids competing for that job right now. 2 seniors, Troy Schick and Ty Murdarski, and then a junior, Maddox Swisher. They've all had a really nice summer. So to be honest with you, we'll kind of see once we get the pads on and get a little more, 7-on-7s are great to have something for the kids to do. But at the end of the day, they basically, don't show you anything with how good a kid is when the bullets are really flying. So it'll be nice to have the pads on, at least team-wise, at practice, be able to have some bodies around our kids as they're throwing the football. So that'll be what I'm most looking forward to from an evaluation perspective. But all 3 kids can play. All 3 kids contribute on defense too. So the nice thing is that all of them play. And the one benefit we have, Josh, over what I've had in the last 6 years maybe, is that I really trust those 3 guys. So we need to do a little bit more with putting that quarterback in a I guess you would say, a more dangerous situation with running him, because I trust the next kid in. In the past, it's not that I haven't trusted the kids, but there was a significant drop off of talent from Luke to the next guy. I mean, now that they're all pretty comparable, it gives us a good advantage to being able to put that kid in a little more situations where I might not have with Trevor Bazinski, who I had for 3 years, and then Luke, who I had for 3 years, where if we lost that kid, we'd be in tough shape. So it's kind of fun to be able to go back to that a little bit more of, I guess, what Ed saw when we were hanging out. He, was nice enough to support me when I was coaching at Ed's. A little bit more where that kid's on the move, a little bit more things we could do with that kid now. So that's cool. So I'm excited for that. And then you really, we're looking forward to having a lot of our other kids step up who are returning kids. I just mentioned Tommy Mordarski. He was a starter for us on defense last year, kind of run the show for us at our free safety position. So he's really a leader for us. And then we have some kids that have to step up. Hudson Devins, Luke's brother, will be a returning starter on both sides of the ball for us. So I think he's going to have a heck of a year. Andrew Hanchuk, who's been offered by Toledo and West Virginia, plays defensive end and offensive tackle. He's a power 5 type of kid, 6'5", almost 6'6", 250 pounds. And then opposite him on the defensive line and at a receiver position, we'll have a kid, Devin Zahersky, who's the same type of build. So I expect him to step up as well. Michael Crouch returns at linebacker. We got a couple kids returning on the offensive line. That's why I think the offensive line is going to be really good. Trey Perry, Mason Nemec, Sam Jackson. So I'm really excited to see those kids, to see some leadership grow from something other than just the quarterback position due to the fact that kid will be a first-year starter for us.
Talking with Berea Midpark head coach John Hunek. You're ramping up with 2 really, really good squads in Highland and Nordonia. Both teams won multiple games in the playoffs last year. I mean, Highland was the number 1 seed in their region. Nordonia was certainly no slouch themselves. I mean, so it's it's go time right from the rip, and I know you wouldn't have it any other way.
No, it's the benefit, and I kind of touch back on you've been nice enough to have me on my show since I was coaching hockey at St. Ed's and St. Ignatius too. And the nice thing with the expanded playoffs is you treat it more like, we used to treat it hockey at those places where you'd go to early tournaments early in the year and play the best teams you could find in order to kind of see what you need to work on, knowing that there's a good shot you're going to make the playoffs. And the goal was to be as good as you could at the end of the year. So you kind of try to phrase it that way now. That's how we're trying to flip our mentality is, hey, let's scrimmage some really good teams. And we scrimmage Medina as our second scrimmage. And then let's play some really good teams early so that we can, be a little battle tested, but also work out some of the kinks, before we get into conference play. Our number one goal obviously to compete for the conference. But after that, we won one playoff game last year, and I think our kids are hungry for more. So for us, the most important thing is to play good teams early so that we can get better. Highland's a great team. They got the running back coming back, who's a load, good kid, hard player, and always going to be well coached. Same thing in Nordonia. Coach Fox does a nice job there. He's a good coach. And they're always, an up-tempo spread team with athletes. So it's fun to see two teams with really, really different type of teams, which is awesome early in the year. And especially seeing Highland early, who at least seems to be, who knows, right? We'll see him in scrimmages, but you really don't know anything until week one. Seems to be a team that's going to be very physical as they usually are, pound the ball, and that's really similar to what our conference is. So, our conference is really predicated on teams that like to run the football and a really good run on the football, whether it's Avon, Olmsted Falls, Avon Lake, and the rest of the group. So seeing a team early that does that, lets us really take a good hard look at where we're at, if we put those guys in right spots and how we can adjust our team from there. So I love playing the better team. More in our independent games, I'd like to play the best teams possible, so we can get a good shot at and see where we're at.
As I say, it probably preps you pretty well for the Southwestern Conference, which is always a grind. So many great teams. What have you learned as a coach? Before we let you go here, in the Southwestern Conference, from week to week, from when you first started to now, what have you learned about, you're going against Avon Lake every week? Seems like it's going to be a tough conference game. Have you had to really make it, and not to give anything away about adjustments, but what have you learned as a coach going from week one in year one to now in the Southwestern Conference?
First of all, that it sucks to be in a conference and you see the same darn teams every year, and they've seen your offense for 6 years. It was pretty nice being at Edge or being at Massive, and those teams wouldn't see you more than once or twice, and then it was like a surprise for them when you're an up-tempo team that throws a football all over the place. So that kind of sucks. But other than that, the cool, I think it's made me a much better coach, to be real with you. You have to really hammer down on what you're good at. I'm lucky to coach in a conference with really good football coaches. So that's both frustrating because it's challenging, but it's also, I think makes us a better coaching staff and makes us really get better. The one thing I think I can do a better job of, to be honest with you, I don't know if this is giving away something or not, is really hone in at what we do well and maybe not trying to overthink it. The teams that are successful in our conference, Olmsted Falls, again, Avon Lake, I use those just as examples. Those are the first teams that popped to my mind. Illyria's going to be really good this year too. Is they do what they do and they do it well. They don't do a ton, and that's no offense to them because they're smart enough to know that if we do our stuff really good, we're going to be successful. So that's something that I've kind of, I think, tried to learn from them and try to implement myself. But it's a challenge in that respect. We went to a 7-on-7 at Penn State this year, took the boys to Penn State, and I think that was the most carefree I've ever been coaching because our kids weren't worried about who they were playing. Like, they didn't know kids on the other team. They didn't know what to expect based on previous years. They just played, and I think there was a lot of growth and development there, but our kids were a lot more open to taking chances and just playing ball because they didn't have a preconceived notion of what that team was going to be like. So we're trying to take that mentality from that into this year to understand that, hey, every team's got a new group. They may return some kids, but at the end of the day, it's a different mix. So same thing with us. So it's, our kids make the joke, I guess, that since we had a year we won our first playoff game, and it's been a goal for us for a while, that we're playing with house money, that let's just let it all hang out because, let's see. People don't expect a lot from us this year, they feel, but I do, and our coaching staff does, but they feel like let's just let it roll and see what happens. So it's a fun group to be around every day. This is probably, that's no offense to other groups, it's probably the most coachable group I've been around from at least an offensive perspective for sure. And I see that on the defensive side too, just because they're new guys, they're kids that are hungry to get on the field and to show what they got. So it's it's been a joy to be at practice every day with our kids.
Well, I got to say, Coach, one of the things that I come back every year and I always get to go to a Berea Midpark game. Now, I've been told that I may be a bit of a jinx because every time I go, it's a great game, but you guys don't always come out on the winning end of that. But I will say this, that atmosphere that you got going on every Friday night is palpable. It's a great atmosphere. You got a great community behind you. It doesn't even feel like you guys are at a college campus, really. I know you guys, share the field with Baldwin Walls, but that really does become Berea Midpark's, atmosphere there. So I got to say that's one of the joys of going and covering those games, just how amped those fans are. Parents are going crazy for first downs and touchdowns. It's a really fun atmosphere that you got going there in Berea Midpark, and that thing's been growing since you've been there. So my hat's off to you. It was a great job of kind of building that buzz in that school for those players and things like that. Because even the players get really amped up. Like you said, you can't tell me you don't like pregame because your entire team is amped coming out of the tunnel at pregame.
I hate it.
So I don't know.
I don't hate that part. I hate pregame.
You're having a good time. You're faking it really well there, Coach.
If I could show up a minute before the game starts, just get on the field and play, and the kids would be able to play without the injury risk, I'd do that. I hate it. It drives me out of my mind. And our defensive coordinator loves to talk to the kids and go through everything. And he's an awesome coach. Matt Wilson does a great job. Our defense has got so much better the last few years since he's been kind of running it. But he loves all that talk, and I'm like, let's roll. Even my pregame speech lasts, I think, 10 seconds. Let's think about what we're doing. So let's think some positive thoughts. Yeah. Let's get it. Let's run some offense and stop some guys on defense. So I appreciate that, Sean. That's really nice to hear. We're really lucky to have a great administration that backs us up in our football program. Cool. We got a new AD that just got here from John Justice he was previously at Brunswick. And he seems like a great guy. I've heard such great stuff about him, and it's a lot of fun to have it in there. And I'm hoping that, just like you, Sean, have walked away impressed at times for our environment, what we're trying to do. I hope that he comes on the job first year and is just as impressed, if not more so. But I'm really lucky to have a great coaching staff that really is bought in. And it's cool this year. I brought some more guys that have played for me on the coaching staff at Berea now. So that'll be fun. Like a kid like John Lyons, who was a receiver for Trevor Baczynski, is coaching our wideouts now. So that's pretty cool to have a younger guy. I mean, he gets more harassed than I think anybody on the staff just because everybody coached him. So, and I got a couple guys, younger guys, Mike Grayley, Ryan Rivera, that coach on the 7th and 8th grade who played for me too. So it's pretty cool to be at that point there where those kids are older and they've come back and wanted to be a part of our program. It's really awesome that they want them. I mean, that's the number one thing for me is for the kids to have a great experience and hopefully learn some things and become better young men. And we have some young women on our team. So hopefully both of them are we do some things that help them learn some life lessons, because that's the real point of sports. It's not the wins and losses. It's, the teaching and the growth and stuff that comes from the kids. So it's a really exciting thing. I can't wait for this year. It seems like you guys said, it comes super quick. Like we scrimmage 4 days after we start and then scrimmage again and it's time to play. But that's good stuff. It's exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
Berea Midpark will be starting off their season at home at George Finney Stadium, the campus of Baldwin Wallace in Berea, Ohio, against the Medina Highland Hornets on Friday, August 19th. Coach, appreciate you coming on again, and we'll check in with you over the course of the season, and good luck to you.
Well, I love being on here. I really appreciate you guys having me. It's an awesome thing to be able to talk about my team. And Josh, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow again. Hey, Josh, I really appreciate you saying something nice to my daughter. You gave her some nice words after she made a couple plays in the infield, and that was what she kept talking about on the way home. So I really
that's good. Yeah, I told her
nice, thanks.
Yeah, I told her great plays. She could stop anytime now.
That's what she said. She goes, I was thinking, I don't want to stop. I don't understand.
Looking forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow, John.
All right, you guys have a great one. Thank you so much.
Too.
Again.
Thanks for coming on.
What you guys do for sports in the area. It's awesome.
Thanks, John. We appreciate it.
You guys have a great one.
You too.
Thank you. All right, Berea Midpark head coach John Hunek talking about the Titans and what they got going on this season. And, they had a great season last year, and another team that also had a great season. will be is he on? Is that Coach Kostelnik from Avon Lake is going to join us next?
Yep.
I am on, yes.
There he is. Hey, Coach.
How we doing, guys?
It's been a long time since I've seen you. I think you were a freshman when I was a senior at Mount. And I wasn't playing football at the time, but it's always great to have a fellow Purple Raider come onto the show.
Nice.
So we'll run down 2021 real quick. Avon Lake with a 7-4 overall record. They were 4-3 in the Southwestern Conference. Good for the number 5 seed in Division II, Region 6. They lost to the number 12 seed Toledo St. John Jesuit Titans 34-13. Scored 26 points a game, gave up about 20, and mostly the same schedule from 2021, except Tiffin Columbian's off, and you'll be playing St. John the Baptist from New York as a non-conference game. So, Coach Kostelnik, thanks for coming on, and let's talk a little bit about the program. Talk about what you guys have been doing over the summertime and what you're looking forward to this season.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. It's always fun to come on a Zoom meeting, a little bit different, especially in a live feed. So if I screw up or say something inappropriate, I'm sorry. But
that's all right. Sean's going to do it eventually. Anyway, he does it once a show, so it's fine.
It's really just a countdown till I screw up, so you're fine.
I like all the BG stuff in the background. My brother owns a couple bars in Bowling Green. You know, Ziggy's and Quarters. So.
Oh, nice.
All right, so we are going to call your brother because when we go to Bowling Green, beer's on him. That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, summer's been great so far. Workouts, 4 days a week, and getting after it, getting into practice now, getting our acclimation days done, and excited to start hitting on Monday. Going live and really kind of separate. You always call Monday's moving day. That's that first live opportunity to see where our guys stand, and gives them a real opportunity to see what we have and getting us ready to prep for Medina Highland on Saturday. So, which will be a great test. I mean, they're obviously a great playoff team last year. They have a lot coming back, and Coach Gibbons and I played together at Mount Union, and he is a physical guy, and he gets his kids to play physical. So it's always a great test for us to see where's our physicality at. And are we ready to head into a tough season and a tough Southwestern Conference?
Yeah, talk a little bit more about your conference, because we were just on the show with John Hunek, and he just talks about how it's good and then it's bad. It could be also annoying at times that you play the same teams basically every year. You have with the exception of the couple at the beginning of the season, but it's the same. We call it the meat grinder schedule, the SWC, because you guys are playing each other. All the teams are competitive, and then all the teams know each other. It's just a matter of how your personnel that year is going to do what you do best. So talk about your conference a little bit and how you have to go in each week and just prepare.
Well, I think the biggest way we prepare for our conference is, again, I harp on take care of the little things, take care of the details, big things take care of themselves. And you could see the years that we've been successful. Yes, we've been talented, but we've also taken care of a lot of those details in the years that we haven't been successful. Typically what's bitten us in the butt, turnovers, penalties, those tiny details tend to be the difference in the game. And then the fact that you add on, we have great programs and great players in our conference. I mean, just look at the running backs that we have in the conference next year from a variety of teams. From there, you got a lot of talent, but you got a lot of great coaching in our conference, and week in and week out, you got to be prepared. Because if somebody exploits you, you're going to have to fix those problems, or they're going to come back to bite you. And we saw that last year against Coach Hunek and Berea Midpark, and they found a couple weaknesses, and they were exploited. And you know what? It's on me. We didn't fix those, or at least not all the way. The next week against Midview, and so every week we got to treat it like, hey, it's 1 week at a time. And we're going to play against good teams that are well coached.
Coach, one of the things I'd like you to talk about a little bit was, we talked about this with John Hunek, and this would really, again, is the second year where they've expanded the playoffs, which kind of kickstarts the season a little bit earlier. I'm not 100% sure if you guys are in school. Week one, I know Berea Midpark, John Hunek said, their school wasn't fully in school, and that kind of takes away from the atmosphere of that week one high school football atmosphere. Does it change anything you do from a preparation standpoint when the kids aren't in school? I know we've had that, like, kind of that last week of August when things kind of, but now it's really that, like, you're almost playing summer football for the first couple of weeks, and then you kind of kick into that, the routine, the classes and then school after, practice after school. Does that change how you prepare week to week for those specific weeks?
So you've heard from other coaches that we all changed our schedule like 15 times this summer because of all the different.
yeah, a couple times, yeah.
All the
I don't know.
different.
I didn't get 15. I got a couple, but yeah, 15's the number.
I'm on a text message string with a bunch of coaches that are in the SWC and or have left or around, or just people I know, and we're all like, wait a minute, did you get this email? And did you get this email? And are we doing this right? Or are we not doing this right? At the end of the day, we've set our schedule. We've gotten to a point where we're pretty comfortable with what our schedule is. We just had to move it back a week. So to us, we can't let that affect us. We got to prepare as normal. It is a little bit tougher, in Avon Lake. One of my biggest things I harp on is play as many sports as you can while you're in high school. Enjoy it. I mean, I always get a kid who would say, hey, I'm really not interested in playing, I don't know, let's say basketball anymore. Well, do you like playing? Well, yeah. I'm like, why stop? I mean, you only have so many opportunities in high school to really enjoy yourself. So it then falls on me to be a little bit tougher and a little bit more flexible in June and July. So we basically tell our families, hey, you know what? June is lifting only. July, we're going to get into practice. And we understand opportunities. We've got a number of kids who have potential to play college sports and other things other than football. And we try to be as flexible as possible. So we go early in the morning, and that's just kind of how we've always done it. Coach DeLugas did that. I kind of carried on that tradition. As we get up, we go, and goal is to be done by 1, so you can get to your other sport. And if it's a real college opportunity, then we'll do our best. And August 1st is mandatory. Well, they're all mandatory. They're not mandatory.
We're talking with Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik, an Avon Lake grad as well. And you mentioned Coach Dlugos. As the head coach of the program that you played for now, what are some of the biggest changes? Have there been any major changes in your thoughts, in your mind about the community, or just how the kids are? Or is it pretty much just what it was and now you're just in charge of it?
I think I understand what you're asking me. Is like, have I changed? Has the community changed from Coach Lewis, or the program itself has it?
Say more the program and the community.
Well, community continues to change. I mean, Avon Lake, the community from when I was in school, obviously has changed a lot demographically to where we are today, and it's been great. It's still a great community. It's a community that loves their football. Trust me, and if we're not playing well, I hear about it. So, but I love the community. I would love to get there, hopefully sooner rather than later. But stupid housing market's killing me. My mom's still there. I love the community, and program-wise, for us is we just want to build a little bit every year from what Coach DeLugas has, laid out there. I'm very grateful for what he did for Avon Lake football and the coaches before him, and setting me up for success. A lot of times guys have to build from scratch, and I understand how fortunate I am that I didn't have to do that there was a foundation that I could make subtle tweaks over the years. And so have I made some tweaks? Yeah, but Shoremen football is Shoremen football. And, we want to continue to play physical. We want to continue to run the ball effectively. We want to continue to not beat ourselves. And if I can keep that legacy going, then I feel like I've done a good job in keeping Shoremen football where it's at.
Yeah, so let's talk about that foundation and some of the players that you consider your building blocks. Some of the players, the key players this year that you're kind of relying on to have a successful season for you guys.
Well, I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, we returned most of our production. Tailback back, Krakowski's back, Zick, our quarterback's back. We got a host of wide receivers, and Stewie McCrum and Isaac Richardson are all back. We obviously lose Jake DePaul, who is so dynamic at both quarterback for us when Jeremy unfortunately caught COVID and was forced to sit out a couple weeks. But on that side of the ball, skill-wise, we feel obviously very confident of where we're at. They're all big, physical wide receivers, and Krakowski in the backfield, very dynamic as far as his ability to catch the ball, and he's extremely fast. And I'm looking for Jeremy to take that next step. I mean, he came out, those first 2 games, I think, showed what he is capable of doing. I mean, I think he had like close to 300 yards in both those games passing. And when that kid's on rhythm, he's dangerous. And it'd be nice to see him run the ball a little bit more. And hopefully we can get him to that point, because then it just adds just another layer of dynamic to our offense. That I'm looking forward to. And up front, coming back quickly, and Broadhurst as returning starters are just going to add an anchor to our line. And that's really, in any given year, really only as good as our offensive line plays. I mean, that's really what it comes down to in SWC football and playoff football. To be successful, you got to run the ball. You got to defend the run, and you got to have a good field goal kicker. As we found out against South on how many games over the last few years, that it comes down to that final field goal a lot of times. And even against Berea Midpark last year, I mean, we were, I think it was 24-21 was the final score. So it's always within that realm that we got to focus on. The defense, returning to all Ohio corners is definitely helps you take a deep breath, knowing that those guys can eliminate number one week in and week out. I mean, I'm fully confident in those guys' ability to play physical defense. And then up front, we return 3 out of 4 starting defensive linemen, obviously anchored with Viancourt, Nilsson, and Peters. Peters, is a Division II offer kid right now, and Viancourt's, I feel, is one of the top defensive ends in the state. I mean, the kid plays on a different speed than anybody else. So defensively, as long as our linebacking core and safeties come together, which I think we're in a great spot right now. We'll see where we're at against Medina Highland. I think defensively we're looking to be pretty, back up to where we were a couple years ago, and we're going to be fast and physical. And but again, it's about coming together. And like I said, special teams. I think we've got a couple guys vying for our kicker spot right now that I'm confident with either one of them. It's just a question of who's going to earn the job.
Absolutely. Now, are there any younger players that are underclassmen that you're looking to contribute and have a big role in? I'm sure the seniors have, probably taken them under the wing and taught them a little bit about Friday night football. But are there any underclassmen that you're looking for to have a contributing year?
Yeah, I mean, Derek McCrum, who returns, he's only going to be a junior. Obviously, he played he had some big catches for us, in particular against Tiffin Columbian and Avon that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. And, we're looking for him to be just as dynamic on the defensive side of the ball. So excited to see where he's at. Michael Pace is another one that I feel like on the defense side of the ball, going to be a junior, and same with Kevin Baker. I mean, those three as far as defensive side. Carter Surgeon's another one. That's looking pretty good so far in our early season. CJ Garule is another one he's going to be a senior. He's kind of paid his dues, and we're hoping that he's going to, really step up for us at safety. He's done great so far. We're going to see what happens against Highland. Offensively, again, our O-line it's kind of a hodgepodge. I mean, we got some seniors, who haven't got much varsity time that are looking great and playing physical. We got, some juniors that are doing well, and we got even younger than that. We got a sophomore that's looking really good. We got a freshman that's actually playing good. He's playing up with us on varsity. So, to me, our O-line is kind of wide open right now. So we're going to see how it all comes together. And like I said, we'll go as far as they go. But, we got 2 great O-line coaches that do a great job for us, and, they're going to put it together.
And week 1, once it kicks off, you go against the Strongsville Mustangs, a team that me, Rob, and Josh are quite familiar with from being from Brunswick. I don't know if you want to look ahead because you're talking a lot about Highland coming up here, but what do you think about the Strongsville Mustangs? This will be the second year. Well, you may have played. This will be another year against that team. What are you looking for from that team? What are you looking to establish against them without giving too much away?
Well, I think for us, again, the big thing we got to run the ball. We got to play good defense. They're a team that traditionally has run the ball really well. So, forcing their quarterback to beat us has got to be on our top priority list, and saying, hey, you got to get the ball downfield on us. And I think offensively, again, last year, we chewed them up throwing the ball until about the third quarter. And I think we had like an 8.5, 9-minute drive, which was great. I was loving life. I'm like, maybe we threw the ball all over the place in the first half, and here we are. It's still my favorite drive, one of my favorite drives of the year. We just bared down. I think it ended up being like 14, 16 plays, something along that lines. And we really grinded it out. The O-line put the game on their back, and our tailback just said, all right, I'm going to take the ball and we're going to go. And even on third medium, quarterbacks delivering the ball on time. It was just a great drive, and it kind of took the wind out of Strongsville. So again, establishing the run, playing good special teams is crucial against Strongsville, and it's going to be crucial against Brecksville, and we'll see what St. John the Baptist is bringing to town week 3, because we know what South's going to bring week 4. So, and Berea is going to bring week 5. So once we get to conference play, we know what's coming. We just got to be ready for it. And those first 3 games, I think, will be great tests for us to see if, hey, are we the Shoremen that are ready to compete in the SWC? And I think you'll find that we will be.
I have zero doubt with that. From what I know about you, and how you played on Mount Union and the like. So, Coach, thank you very much for coming on. We look forward to seeing how the Shoremen do this year, and we'll certainly check in on you as the season goes on, and certainly hopefully get in touch with you afterwards as well.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Avon Lake Shoremen head coach Matt Kostelnik, again, fellow Purple Raider, leading his alma mater, the Avon Lake Shoremen. Another great season. They will kick off, I believe they are also August 19th at Packatan Stadium against the Strongsville Mustangs. And so we're moving right along here. We thank Coach Kostelnik, and he mentioned South a lot. I think he means the Avon Eagles, and their head coach Mike Elder joins us here next on the show. Coach Elder, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for coming on and talking a little bit about your program with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
We'll do a quick rundown of the Avon Eagles season from last year. They were 12-3 overall, 6-1 in the Southwestern Conference. They tied for the Southwestern Conference Championship. They were the number 2 seed in Division II Region 6, but like they did the previous 4 years, they won in Division II Region 6 with wins over Toledo St. Francis de Sales, Fremont Ross, a rematch against Olmsted Falls and Toledo Central Catholic. Before losing to Archbishop Hoban in the semifinals. They are the 5-time defending Region 6 champion. They scored 43 points a game last season, gave up about 21. And the only difference they have from last year, instead of coming to Brunswick and playing, you get to go to Florida and play. That's not a bad treat, Coach. I'm not going to lie. And I'm from Brunswick, so that's fair.
Well, Brunswick is a great facility, I'll be honest. So I'm not sure if we're playing in a better facility, but we are excited about our trip to Orlando. We try to take this trip. We did it 4 years ago, and we're excited about going back. It gives your kids a big time football experience where they board a plane together. We get to stay in a hotel, and it's a really cool opportunity, something we've done for kids before, and we're really excited about it. We're playing Stratford High School out of South Carolina down there. It's a program that's been 500 the last few years, but in talking to their coach, they're really excited. They have a lot of great players back, and they've upgraded their schedule to play some of the best teams in South Carolina. And clearly they know who we are, and they didn't shy away from that. So we've seen some film on them, and we're going to have our hands full week 1 without question.
Yeah, Coach, getting it, and thanks for joining us, getting into a little more detail with that. I mean, that's obviously something that's you guys haven't done, since pre-COVID, but that's a little bit more in preparation and travel and all that. It's different than going to Avon Lake or something like that. So do you have to prepare yourself, your coaching staff, prepare you guys a little bit differently for, that upcoming week of practice and travel and all that?
Yeah, you do. I mean, one of the things the last time we went down there, I talked to some folks about the trip and was talking to the Browns offensive line coach. His name's slipping my right now, but he coached there a few years ago, but he was in Avon getting ice cream, and I was telling him, hey, we're going to Florida, and he said, why are you doing that? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, it is hot. It's a whole different level of hot. And when we got off the plane, and you're going to Florida in August to play a game, I thought to myself, this was a really bad decision. Like it's hot. So we recognize that, to kind of be acclimated to that weather, it's hot here too. It's just not as humid. We've got to make sure our kids understand hydration. They're taking care of their bodies, not just during the trip, but everything leading up to it to make sure they're ready. And we feel like we have a deep team this year, a lot of depth, so we can play a lot of kids. If you go into week one anywhere, even in Ohio, not just Orlando, thinking you're going to play, 15 guys on both sides of the ball, you're sadly mistaken, because they're not in game shape yet, and the heat would just get the best of you. And I know some older, viewers out there might say, well, when I played in high school, everybody went two ways. I never left the field. And that was a different game too, where there was a lot less snaps. There's a lot more snaps in a high school football game now than there was when I played, because a lot of people throw the ball more. So we're excited about the opportunity. And again, it's a business trip. We played our game on a Thursday last time we went. This year we were forced to play on Friday. But I think we have a pretty good plan to make sure our kids stay focused, still get to enjoy themselves, but be ready for that game for Friday night.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of your players, coming back. And I thought last year, Jacorian Caffey, the running back, came onto the scene, and he really had an impact on your team. We talked to Sam DiTilio, the quarterback of your program, last year, and what a great kid he is. You could tell he's a leader on offense. But it's interesting because you don't hear much about an offensive line, but Luke Hamilton has been getting all kinds of press this year. And really, your offensive line each year, I feel like, is impressive, whether it's protecting the quarterback or, your running game. It's always very balanced. Talk a little bit about your team on the offense and defense side of the ball, of some of the players that are returning this year.
Yeah, so on the offensive side, we have both of our tackles back. Luke Hamilton, who you mentioned, who's only going to be a junior, but has been offered by several, Division I schools. He's a big-time D1 recruit. But, arguably our best offensive lineman last year was our left tackle, Dylan Hergenroder. And he doesn't have the size Luke Hamilton does, but he's an outstanding high school football player. And in our opinion, he's every bit as good. And so we have those two tackles back. But unfortunately for us, we're going to be obviously hoping that, we can find that center and those two guards to step in there and make an impact for us. But skill-wise, we pretty much have everybody back. It's pretty fun to have all the people back that we have. Jacorian back at tailback. Gavin Earhart is back, as another running back for us, he's a Division I baseball commit to Cincinnati. Sam DiTilio, our quarterback, who is going to go to school to study medicine to be a doctor, back. Has Division I offers for football. So we've never probably had this much skill back and this much depth on the offensive side of the ball.
And Coach, one of the things, obviously, when you talk about your team and who's coming back and how well you did last year, how do you kind of reset their focus as much? Because again, it's with the success you had last year, and really every year. Let's be quite honest. You kind of get into that expectation versus execution, maybe, so to speak. Is it something that you and your coaching staff have to kind of keep saying, hey, nothing's given to you. You have to go out and perform the way you did last year. No one cares about last year. Like, is that something that you're constantly preaching in weight training and conditioning and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to bring you in to send that message you just delivered there to our team again. They heard that.
Well, I am available tomorrow. I'm kidding.
Well, we'll take it. Come on over anytime. We've been talking about that for a long time in Avon. Your past success has nothing to do with the future. Just because you were successful last year doesn't mean you will be the next year. And so we have a lot of players back, and there's a lot of hype surrounding this team. But I explained to them, you got to be lucky and good. We got to put in the work, and we got to do the work. Our program's process-driven, not result-driven. So there's checkpoints along the way that we have to do the right things. And we hold our kids accountable to that. And more importantly, our kids hold each other accountable to those standards. And that's when you're really working with something special. And so this senior class for us is special. It's a really deep class. It's probably one of the best we've had. but I explained to them the potential doesn't necessarily give you the results. So I told them you can be one of the most successful classes, or you can be one of the biggest underachieving classes in Avon history. So it's to be seen and to be determined. But we're excited about them, and I love their attitude and their effort and the culture they've created on this team and how they're embracing the underclassmen. So I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I was really excited about the season.
Hey, Coach, I saw some pictures on some of the local Facebook groups. You guys have one heck of a locker room, brand new locker room coming out. How do your players feel about it? Because, we all played high school football, and to have something like that when we were, at that age, that would have been just incredible. How are your players taking on to that? And that's something real special that, I'm sure they really appreciate.
Yeah, they do. The best part of that project was that it was funded, 70 to 75% by private people and in-kind donations. And some of those in-kind donations were our players themselves going in there and helping with the deconstruction, the removal of some of the bricks and the old things that were in there. So these kids have a vested interest in making sure that we take care of something that's really awesome. When I first got to Avon, we had an awful locker room. It was bad. It was nobody's fault, but it was bad. And we did dump some money into it. We got new lockers, we got a new floor that we fundraised for, and we made it presentable. But over time, the thing just kind of falls apart. And so it wasn't good. Our sink was falling off the wall. It was bad. And we went from the worst to arguably the best. And what we did is created not just a locker room, but a meeting room. So we try to create spaces within the locker room to watch film. There's a players lounge in there for the kids to hang out. There's a wall that's dedicated to just the rivalry, with Lake and our rival that we think, is one of the best in high school football, one that I have tremendous respect for, with a countdown clock on them and highlights going. But it's a sight to be seen, and we're not going to take it for granted. We're going to take care of it. And our players also understand that it wouldn't have been possible without all the teams that played before them, because with success comes interest in people wanting to do something like this. And we're really, really blessed to have it. And it's been nice. It's air conditioned. We usually try to get out of our locker room early. We're usually on the field 30 minutes early because it's 500 degrees in the locker room. Now I'm worried about what temperature do you set the air at, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to come out and the heat to hit you. So I'm nervous about some of the nice things we have, but it sure is nice right now during, some of these practices we're dealing with in July.
We're talking with Avon Eagles head coach Mike Elder. And with that success, has afforded the opportunity for your coaching staff and obviously the seniors, but also the underclassmen to get a lot more games under their belt than most other teams do. How much do you think that benefits the underclassmen when they're going into the next season by having those extra weeks of football playoff practice, even if they're not really involved with the game, but just being around?
Our seniors have obviously, with teams who haven't advanced deep in the playoffs like we have played an extra season, if you really look at it. So that's just an extra season of practice. And if you build a program and you want to do it the right way, which I think our coaches do and we do, you take that opportunity not just to win the upcoming playoff game, but you're trying to develop those young guys. And really nice for us to get those extra weeks of practice, and we've been able to do that now for 5 straight years. We've been in the Final Four, and we're trying to get back to that state finals game. But this team named Akron Hoban has gotten in the way of that a few times, but hopefully this will be the year.
And Coach, one question I have, kind of bouncing off of Ed's point there. Are there any last year's underclassmen that are coming up and you're going to see or rely on them for contributions that, we need to be on the lookout for? Is there anyone? You got a really heavy class with, like you said, your skill position coming back. But is there a couple kids that maybe have been really putting in the work and you're hoping to see them take that next step this season?
Yeah, when I think underclassmen, I think sophomores, and it's really hard to play for Avon as a sophomore. There's just a physical difference, and that's the reason we've probably been so successful. We have 119 kids on our football team, 10 through 12 right now, 119, which means you're looking at 25 plus seniors every year. And if you develop those kids right and they're in your program all those years, we line up and play 18-year-olds against some schools 15, 16-year-olds. And that's a formula for success. And, I studied our rivals, Lake, when I got here. Dave DeLucas was winning. And every year they'd be like, oh, he's graduating 30 seniors. Well, this is the year to get him. And then, boom, they were replaced with 30 more seniors. And so the formula was right in front of me 15 years ago when I got to Avon, and I paid close attention to what our rivals did. And Coach Lucas is someone I have tremendous respect for. So when I think underclassmen, yeah, we're going to have some juniors play. Obviously, Jacorian and Luke Hamilton are only juniors, and they've already been offered major Power 5 scholarships. But sophomore-wise, Nolan Good as a kid, we moved up last year as a freshman. We think he can play for us on defense. We have a young man named Matt Maxey, who's a wide receiver who's got enough talent to help us. Will he start? I don't know. And there's some other guys there, but not many. As far as sophomores will have a chance to play varsity football for us this year. They have to wait their turn.
It's a good problem to have.
Very good problem to have. Hey, Coach, we were, with the additional week in the playoffs, the addition and 8 more teams that qualify for the region. We've talked to some other coaches, and a couple of them have said that it does afford them the opportunity to maybe go outside the comfort zone with who they play and try some different things out. Do you feel the same? I mean, you're a very successful program. You guys really are never on the fringe of that, but do you take advantage, given your schedule, you're playing Medina and Glenville after you go to Florida. I mean, those are 2 very, very good programs that you're stacking yourself up against before you get to the conference.
Yeah, without question. I initially was against the expansion of the playoffs, at least to the level they did it. I thought they were going to, expand it to 12 and give you a bye week if you were in the top 4. I think 16 games is a lot of games, for a high school kid to play. And we've played 15 the last several years. And so, like in the NFL, who wins the Super Bowl is usually the team at the end of the year who's the healthiest and playing the best at that moment. So, I tell our kids all the time, we want to win every game, but we also want to build this thing with depth to win the last one and stay healthy. And to do that, you got to play lots of guys and do some things like that. But at the end, we're playing Medina this year, and they dropped us the following year, which I don't understand. I think Coach Laird's a great coach, but that should have been that forever game as far as I was concerned. But they dropped us, and they're going to go play someone else. And so we're looking. And to answer your question, yeah, I said, listen, I want to play at venues. I asked to play Camp McKinley. I asked about Massillon. I asked about Chardon. I asked about Menor. We're trying to go out and play some big time schools because our kids want to play in those games. And, we've been undefeated before. That's not our ultimate goal anymore. Our goal is to play great competition and be playing our best football at the end and win the last one. So we'll see. We're trying to build that schedule up even more down the road with teams. And to be honest, no one else is calling us to play. So we're trying to figure out who's available.
Well, I think you've done a great job with your program. I mean, time in and time again, it seems like your program every year it's not trying to rebuild. It's just retooling every year, and that goes a credit to you and the structure that you've built there at Avon, and you've done just an unbelievable job there, and you've been there a long time, and you continue to be successful. What's some of the things you've done that you've really enjoyed with your youth programs at Avon to continue to rebuild and make kids excited to play the game of football in Avon?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I think that's the difference. Some people have good seasons and other people have good programs where they're historically good every year. And for us as a closed enrollment public school, and I don't say that as any excuse, I'm not for separating publics and privates in playoffs. I don't want that. I want to beat the best. But the truth is we can only play with the kids who live in our community. And so we stopped complaining about what we don't have, the ability to go out and grab a quarterback if we didn't have a good one, or to go grab an offensive lineman where we're short. That happens, and that's an advantage to some of those private schools or open enrollment public schools. For us, our advantage is K through 12. We can create a youth football structure, a middle school program that feeds each other and maximize participation. And I think we've done that. Like we stopped talking about what others have and talked about what we have and did that. And right now our youth football program, we took it over. It's K through 6 in Avon. K1-2 is flag football. 3rd and 4th grade is a padded flag. We do not tackle in 3rd and 4th grade. 5th grade, we play 7-on-7 tackle football. And then in 6th grade is your first 11-on-11 experience. And that's worked really well for us. I just talked to our directors down there, and they were passing out equipment today. And we have a record number of kids out for football K through 6. my middle school program, as it stands right now, we do 2 7th grade teams, 2 8th grade teams. We have 110 kids playing middle school football. And then our freshman team, we're trying to schedule some extra freshman games because we have 53 kids out for freshman football. So, we're not going to complain that Hoban or Maslin or other people have advantages, because there's things we can do that they can't. And one of them is the youth football structure. And it takes a lot of time and effort and work, but we're willing to do it. We got people in this community that's important to them.
And that's a big key. And we are always interested in how the youth programs feed up into the high school programs. And the numbers bear out. I mean, you guys have established such a great program from the youth all the way up to the high school. And I'm sure the players enjoy going back down. I'm sure they enjoy with whatever time they have. I have to imagine they enjoy going down and helping out the youth programs in any way they can.
They do, and anytime kids are looking for community service and things that, we run camps. So in the OHSA governs what you do with kids 7 through 12, but K through 6 it does not. But my coaches, we do a winter skills camp. So in February and March, I don't have anything to do. So what am I doing? I'm down there, and we're doing on Sundays an hour, and I'm in front of all these kids and passing out stickers and magnets for their cars and making them identify as Avon football players. And then we do a spring flag league with our K through 6. And then we do a camp in June, a camp in July. And then we do one for our K1-2 flag football. So we run 5 youth football camps that I'm directly involved with my staff and my players for the young kids. So, we work hard at it. Other schools and communities do too, but that's probably what I'm most passionate about. And I am blessed. My son went through the youth program, so I was intimately involved, because I used to coach my team, the varsity team, and then go down and coach a youth team. And let me tell you, people get fired up when Coach Elder's rolling in with a 5th grade team. They want to beat me, you know what I mean? And it was a lot of fun. Probably the most fun I've ever had coaching football was at the youth level. But my varsity coaching staff is so good that I can leave practice and I can go down and watch the 7th and 8th graders. Now today they practice later, but it was their first practice, and I went and met and talked to every 7th and 8th grade kid in our program. So if you want to do it right and you want to build it for the long haul, it has to be attention to detail K through 12. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we could offer suggestions to young coaches on, is how to do that. But it does take time and effort. It's not a secret, but it's a lot of time and effort.
I can tell you from experience too, Coach, when we were growing up in the 90s and Brunswick was on a little bit of a run there. I mean, when we were in the youth program and those varsity players would come down and do skills with us, like all you want to do is be those guys. And, and that's all I thought about when I was getting into high school. I'm like, I want to put on a Brunswick jersey. I want to do this. I want to do that. And, it's good to hear that still bears truth now. That was 25 years ago. It's good to know that's still something that is very important and is the bloodline to a good program.
Yeah, we have a guy on our staff. He's a volunteer coach. His name's Russ Mead, and he helps me with a lot of, I'm a big idea guy. I have lots of ideas. I'm always looking to improve something, but we're doing a mentoring program right now where all of our seniors are mentoring some kid at the elementary level, and I think you talked about how you as a young man aspired to be like those varsity guys. But, for me, whose job is to teach and educate teenagers, I look at it in the reverse too. How awesome is it that they're seen as role models, and now they have to walk the walk, talk the talk, and do the right things in front of those kids. And so we certainly are contributing to them, but they give just as much back to our older kids.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's a fantastic way of putting it, is that kind of putting that mirror, like, hey, you want to be the role model, you actually have to be the role model. You can't just say you're one. You got to show it. And walking the walk is definitely something that's really, really impressive. And again, my hat's off to you, Coach. I've been fortunate enough to cover a lot of your games from either it's playoffs or season or regular season. And I always talk about this is the atmosphere at a game. You can really tell not only are your players into it and the student body, but the community is behind it. I mean, if there's a home game in Avon, there ain't no traffic on Detroit. You know what I mean? There's not anything. They're there for the Avon game, no matter who you're playing, what the school, whether you're up or down. That is an event in that town. And God forbid it's the Avon Lake game, because I don't think I was able to go from North Ridgeville to Elyria without having to do anything. I went through Avon; it was not a problem because everyone was at the stadium. So that's a fantastic atmosphere you got going on there, Coach, and a fantastic program. And our hats off to you. This has been a great interview with you, and we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your clearly busy schedule to sit down and yak some football with us prior to the build up here to the 2022 campaign.
Yeah, well, I apologize for the dog barking in the background and all the
nonsense. We all got them.
Yeah. It's been a long day, but hey, you guys do an awesome job. I can't thank you enough. And I just want to end with I get to compete in the SWC, and our coaches in that league are so good, and it's such a competitive league that we're proud to be part of. And as someone who's the HR director in our school district now, kudos to all the people out there coaching and standing in the fire. Because I'm going to tell you, we live in a society where people right now just want to assign blame, they want to judge, they want to talk about things they don't even know. It's really hard to coach today. It is, and the guys who do it's because they find inherent value in the impact it can have on kids. And a lot of people don't know me and don't like me. That's okay because they don't know me. A lot of people know me and don't like me, and I hope to change their opinion on that someday. But I love coaching. I love coaching football. I love this profession, and I love the guys in our league I get to do it with because they all do it the right way.
Well,
Coach,
go ahead.
Thank you very much for some time. And thanks for taking the time to come on our show today. Well, we'll certainly follow the Eagles this year, and hope to get you and some of your players on, and definitely track where you're at for the rest of the season.
Awesome. I know our players would love to be on your show, so thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Right.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
The Avon Eagles will start their season in Orlando, Florida, against Stratford, South Carolina, on August 19th before they come back to Ohio. And play Medina and Glenville before their SWC conference starts. Again, that was Avon Eagles head coach Mike Elder. Guys, that was an action-packed hour of coaches. Again, Berea Midpark head coach John Hunek, Avon Lake head coach Matt Kostelnik, and Avon head coach Mike Elder, all joining us here on Sports on Tap, live on YouTube. Again, make sure you check out our website, sportsontappodcast.com, and check us out on Twitter at SOT Podcast. That's where we're going to get all of our information and our show information for weeks after this. So, guys, not much more to talk. Not much more to discuss. I mean, the coaches did a great job, and we went over the SWC a little bit, and just primed and ready for the next couple of weeks.
And that's it, Ed, because you need to stay tuned, because if you think we are just stopping with the Southwestern Conference, you're sorely mistaken. We have preview shows coming next week and the week after and the week after that, all leading up to the 2022 Northeast Ohio high school football season. We will be out at games. We will be throwing videos out there. We will be providing you with the best coverage of the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Southwestern Conference, the Suburban League, and the Great Lakes Conference. And those are some serious public school conferences. So if you want football coverage the way it's meant to be done, you need to subscribe to our YouTube page, hit the notifications bell so that you know when we have a show coming up, and make sure you log on to our website, sportsontap.com, and follow us on Twitter at SOT Podcast. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. I don't know what other social media platforms are anymore because I'm old. I'm in my late 30s. I don't do anything like that. But guys, we are amping up for a great season. I'm so excited. This got me ready to go for the 2022 campaign. Rob, get ready. It's going to be awesome.
I think your head's about to explode after all that. I mean, you might need to take a break after all that. That was energetic. That was exciting. And I like where your head's at right there.
You don't sell a steak, Rob. You sell the sizzle, baby.
I could take a good look at a T-bone by.
Yeah, nope. That's not how you say that. And we're going to move on.
Oh man.
No, guys, but real quick, just kind of rehashing the rest of the SWC.
Yeah.
One team I'm really looking forward to is getting a lot of publicity is the Elyria Pioneers. A lot of people are expecting them to do some big things, so that that's going to be really interesting. And you still got Midview, North Ridgeville, and Amherst who had some down seasons last year, but we'll see how they're able to come back. For teams like this, especially in the Southwestern Conference, yeah, we call it the meat grinder schedule and all that, but all it takes is a few good games for you to get under your belt, and you could go on a run in this conference. So it's, like everything, it's going to be really interesting to see, but definitely looking forward to. Can't forget about Olmsted Falls too. Rocco Conte's back. They're going to. I think we all know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball, and it's going to be up to everyone else to stop them. So looking forward to seeing those guys as well. I think next week too, we are going to look at the Greater Cleveland Conference. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
No, yeah, we're going to be covering it all, folks. I mean, and it's coming up, but some other players for Elyria, Jaden Gilbert's a guy that was there last year, Jazeer Lucky, Isaiah Johnson, all seniors this year that are coming for Elyria, who had a good year at 6-5 last year. I thought they got some really nice wins. But like you said, Josh, Rocco Conte for Olmsted Falls, Dominic Rivera, he's an offensive lineman that was there last year, and we know how important the offensive line is in Olmsted Falls. For Midview, Mason Cusera, he's a guy that will be back for Midview, an important player that I think will have a leadership role. And let's not forget Mark Reed. He filled in for Ethan Surdock, who was a senior. He was hurt last year. They thought he might come back. He didn't end up coming back. But Mark Reed's a guy that took over the quarterback position for Midview, and he's going to take over again this year. So I know Mason Cusera played with him as a young kid, and he's coming back. They are losing, though, Connor Awad, who went to Tiffin to play football, and Bryce Newton, who graduated. But moving down the line, North Ridgeville, they had an up-and-down season. They lose Jacob Mattis and also Costa Thrashaviola, and I probably did not get that name correct, but what a playmaker he was on all sides of the ball for North Ridgeville. But Carson Mattis, Jacob's brother, he's going to be a running back there. He's only a sophomore. And then Mason Worcester is a wide receiver for the Rangers that's coming back. Interested to see who's gonna play quarterback for the Rangers because they're going to be a little bit inexperienced there, but we'll have to see how the Rangers are going to come back under Coach Morgan there. For Amherst, they have Christian Heckman at quarterback, running back Nick Costello coming back. They do lose, though, the running back Torrey Weatherspoon, who he did it all. I mean, they gave him the ball and he made plays every play for them last year, big plays. And then wide receiver George Gotsis, they also lose there. So Amherst is going to have probably a young team, but we'll see what can happen with Christian Heckman taking over at quarterback. So that's just a few players to look out for in the Southwestern Conference there, and I'm sure there'll be some other guys that are going to break out this season in the Southwestern Conference that I'm probably missing as well, but those are just a few.
And that's why we have a weekly show, Rob, so that way we can bring you all the news that's fit to video. I don't know how that's going to work. No, and we'll just, we'll give you the best of the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Great Lakes Conference, and the Suburban League.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're going to do, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited, man. This is going to be a fun year. There's going to be a lot of good stuff from Sports on Tap. So if you're not subscribed on YouTube, I don't know what more I need to tell you. Hit the subscribe button, smash the notifications bell. Do not miss a single episode of one of the greatest high school sports podcasts that has ever hit the YouTube airwaves.
Wow.
I'm selling this all day.
And
I put it up against anybody.
Let's put it this way:
anybody.
They're not just going to hear us talk either. No. We are going to have player interviews throughout the year. Maybe get some coaches on like we're doing now. Just Coach Elder and Coach Kostelnik and Coach Hunek. It's always fun to talk to those guys before the season so they can give us a little bit of a preview of their team and see how they're feeling going into the season. But throughout the year, with big play performances and stuff, obviously we work through the coaches and try to get these players on. But it's always fun to talk to players about a key performance. I mean, we've had Ed would appreciate when we had the Rocky River kicker. The week before he missed a kick, and then he comes back the next week and has a game-winning kick, I believe, versus Leary Catholic. I mean, that's kind of the, put it in your back pocket, forget about it, and let's move on. And that's what he did, which takes a lot. So, we have kickers on, we have quarterbacks on, which obviously are always, popular, but we have defensive players and you have a little bit of everything on the show. So it's going to be a fun season, and we're looking forward to it.
And I also want to point out, before we go, if your team – there's one more thing, guys. If your team, if you want to be interactive with us, please reach out to us at SOT Sports on Tap.
Oh, my gosh. It's Sports on Tap podcast at gmail.com. If you're going to say it, get it right. Let's go. Yeah, you were struggling, though.
I said, I was trying to remember. We have 19 different handles. I can't remember them.
Say it with your chest, Sean. Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest. No. Sports on Tap podcast at gmail.com. Feel free to drop us weekly stats. We'll even take videos. We'll take, please, for all that is wholly correct pronunciation of names, so we can get these names right when we talk about them. But yeah, the more information we can get from these schools, the better this show is. So really make it interactive. Tweet at us, mention us, do whatever you got to do so that way we can make sure we give you the best sports coverage on YouTube.
Thank you, Sean.
In the world.
And while Sean takes a drink of chocolate milk, I think we'll wrap it up for this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, you can rewatch this show on our YouTube page at Sports on Tap. Next week, we will be back live at 8 p.m. We will talk about the Greater Cleveland Conference. And we'll talk. That's it. Josh flexing the muscles there. That is his forte, if you will. Josh will give us a pretty good breakdown there. We'll have some coaches on, and then we'll continue on with the previews until week 1. For Josh Jeffy, Sean Duffy, Rob Troutman, I am Ed Dick. Thank you for joining us. We will see you on the other side.